Happy New Year and welcome back to Special Educators Resource Room podcast. I'm Jennifer from Positively Learning and I'm so glad that you're here. I thought we'd start 2026 off with something low-key but super helpful. I'm sharing real classroom wins from real educators because honestly, no one knows what works better than this community. So if you're just starting to think about easing back into routines next week, let's keep it simple. A little inspiring, and packed with ideas that you can use right away. But first, a quick story. Back in the day, way back in teacher blogging land, whenever there was a big Teachers Pay Teachers sale, many teacher bloggers would post what they bought, kind of like a haul video, screenshots, why they picked it, and who it was for. I loved these posts, not just because I wanted more resources. I mean, yes, I did, but because it felt like a peek into someone else's classroom. Like, oh, that's what they're using. That's genius. It was professional development / window shopping and a total time saver and a little behind the scenes moment, which we rarely got as special educators. Fast forward to now. In December, we hosted a giveaway, and I asked you to share your top 3 favorite task boxes from the club, and you delivered. As soon as the answers started rolling in, and we had more than 1,000 entries, I got that same feeling again. Pure curiosity and excitement, and I knew the answers were going to be good because you always know what's good, and you definitely delivered here. And just like those old blog posts, your answers, it gave me that same spark. Only now it's better because this time it's not just about shopping carts and wish lists. It's about what's actually working in real classrooms right now with your students on your schedules. So let's get into what you brilliant, creative, overcaffeinated educators are loving the most. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to save the top choice for the very end of this episode, but I'm just going to say it first. Your number one chosen task: WH questions. Total workhorse. These types of tasks are doing everything: comprehension, communication, you can even collect data. You chose them as your number one and mentioned them over and over again. You're using them one-on-one, in small groups, and in your independent work bins. They are flexible, quick to prep, and students get it. I always say that WH question tasks can grow with your students. Another fan favorite that showed up again and again, fact fluency, specifically multiplication and division. And it makes sense because these are visual, hands-on, and trackable without being overwhelming. It's just the right amount of challenge for students working towards independence with math facts. Rounding out the top 3 is my personal favorite. Errorless tasks, a confidence-building classic. These types of tasks aren't just easy wins. They are foundation builders, perfect for new routines and calming corners or teaching the structure of working independently. And you're using them to teach the process of task completion, not just the skill that's inside the task box. I always think to myself that you can literally see students' shoulders relax when they're using errorless tasks, and they're thinking to themselves, I can do this. Here are the honorable mentions, those hidden gems that are worth a double take. You also shared some seriously under-celebrated favorites, and I just want to say, I see you. These picks showed how creative and intentional you're getting with your independent work systems. First up, fine motor sets. So many of you picked these, and I love that. These are the quiet, calm tasks, but they still build stamina and structure. You also chose anything to do with story elements and reading comprehension. Classic favorites, and for a good reason. They give you solid practice, and you don't need to reinvent anything. This next one also made me smile. They don't always get the spotlight, but they are so valuable. Starting with a trio of SEL tasks: Circle of Control, Smart Choices, which is a sorting task box, and Behavior Reasoning. I love that these SEL task boxes are making their way into your independent work system. You're making space for self-regulation through routine. You're not just teaching expectations, you're embedding emotional literacy into everyday practice. Have to admit, this next one surprised me a little bit. It was social studies. specifically U.S. documents and financial literacy. That is so cool to see because we just started adding science and social studies to the club this past year. These are content-rich, real-world aligned tasks, and they're working double duty, academic and functional. And that's the magic of independent work tasks. You don't have to choose one or the other. This next one I was not expecting, but I loved it. Gross motor movement tasks. These boxes don't sit still because neither do your students. Movement and task completion are a perfect match. I actually wasn't even sure if I was going to add these to the club, but now I am so glad I did because you found them and they were valuable. You better believe I will be adding more gross motor tasks to the club in the very near future. The last hidden gem are CVI tasks. Special shout out to our amazing educators supporting students with visual impairment. These tasks were created with your learners in mind, and I was thrilled to see them make the list. The coolest part of reading through all of your responses wasn't just what you picked, because it's not a popularity contest, but it was knowing how many ways you're using these tasks. You're using them as part of your independent work rotations. You're using them for data collection and IEP goal alignment. And I heard about how you're using them for your morning bins, your calming corners, your life skills practice, and more. And it wasn't just you who are using them. I also heard about paraprofessionals and support staff. And if you are nodding along because you heard one of your favorite task boxes mentioned, thank you for sharing. And if you just added 5 more to your wish list, I understand that too. As we move into the new year, here's your gentle January nudge. Keep doing what's working. Pick 1 or 2 new tasks to try out this month. Refresh a task bin that hasn't been touched in a while, or pull in a task that you've been meaning to use but just haven't yet. You don't have to redo everything. You're already on the right track. This is just the next step. Looking ahead, one of our biggest goals this year in the Taskbox Club, besides adding hundreds of new tasks to the already 1,000 plus, we want to build more connection. Because it's not just about downloading PDF resources. It's about knowing how and when and why to use them. And the best way to figure that out is other educators. This year, we're going to go deeper into community, sharing real strategies, celebrating wins, and making sure you never feel like you're doing this alone, because you're not. Before we sign off, a quick preview of next week's podcast, an episode I've been waiting to dig into. If you've ever said independent work just doesn't work in my classroom, I hear you, and we are going there. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the 3 most common reasons independent work falls flat, and more importantly, how to turn it around without starting over. So if you've ever tried task boxes and they didn't stick, or it just feels like way too much to manage, I promise you there are ways to make this work for you. So make sure you're subscribed, and I will meet you back here next week. Thanks again for being here and for kicking off 2026 with me. Here's to simple systems, confident students, and wins that just feel right. Catch you next time in the Special Educators Resource Room. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm dying to ask, what'd you think? Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe buttons so that you never miss an episode. You can find the show notes and links for everything mentioned in this episode at positivelylearningblog.com. See you next week for more special education solutions.